The Arizona desert stretched endlessly under the burning afternoon sun, the air shimmering with heat and silence. Jack Carter guided his dusty horse along a narrow trail between red rocks, delivering supplies to a distant ranch. His throat was dry, and sweat soaked his shirt, but he pushed forward, knowing shade would come soon near the ravine. Suddenly, a faint sound broke the stillness, a weak cry carried by the wind. Jack slowed his horse, listening carefully. The desert rarely offered mercy, and anyone left exposed could die within hours. Trusting his instincts, Jack turned toward the sound, unaware that this moment would change his life forever. Near a steep slope, he saw a fallen horse tangled in brush and stones. Beneath it lay a young Apache woman, her leg pinned, her face pale from exhaustion and pain. Blood stained her sleeve, and her lips were cracked from thirst. Fear flashed in her dark eyes when she saw Jack, a stranger standing above her. Jack raised his hand slowly, speaking calmly, showing he meant no harm. He tied his horse and rushed to lift the heavy animal away, straining every muscle. After several exhausting attempts, he managed to free her leg, gently pulling her into the shade of a rock. He tore a strip from his shirt to bandage her bleeding arm and offered water from his canteen. She hesitated, then drank carefully, her hands trembling. Jack noticed how young she looked, no older than her early 20s, yet her eyes carried the strength of survival. He guessed bandits had attacked her group and left her behind, assuming she wouldn't survive the desert heat. Jack felt anger tighten his chest. No one deserved to die this way. He checked her injuries, realizing she couldn't walk far. The sun was sinking fast, and night in the desert brought cold and danger. Jack gathered dry branches and built a small fire to keep her warm. Coyotes howled faintly in the distance as shadows stretched across the sand. The woman watched him quietly, her fear slowly softening into cautious trust. Jack offered her a piece of dried bread, and she nodded in gratitude. Though they shared no common language, silence spoke enough. He pointed toward the horizon, signaling that he would take her back to safety at first light. She touched her chest and whispered a word in her native tongue, her eyes shining with emotion. As stars filled the sky, Jack leaned against a rock, keeping watch while the fire crackled gently. He knew helping her could bring trouble if her tribe misunderstood his intentions, but leaving her alone was never an option. Something deeper stirred inside him, a sense of responsibility and unexpected connection. The desert wind brushed across their faces as the night settled in. Jack stared at the endless sky, unaware that this single act of kindness would soon draw him into a world of honor, loyalty, and life-changing destiny. The morning sun rose gently over the desert as Jack helped the injured woman onto his horse, walking carefully beside her to steady her weight. Her strength was limited, but determination shone in her eyes. She pointed toward distant red cliffs, signaling where her people waited. The journey was slow, each step measured to avoid worsening her injury. Jack stayed alert, scanning the open land for danger. Dust swirled around their boots as the desert awakened with birds and warm light. Though exhaustion pressed against him, Jack felt driven by a quiet promise he had made the night before. As they approached the rocky valley, several Apache warriors emerged silently from behind boulders, bows drawn and eyes sharp with suspicion. Jack immediately stopped and raised his hands, keeping his voice calm and steady. The woman spoke quickly in her native language, explaining what had happened, her hand pointing toward Jack and then to her wounded arm. Tension filled the air like a tightened rope. One wrong move could have ended everything. After a long pause, the warriors lowered their weapons slightly, exchanging careful glances before signaling them to move forward into the camp. The camp rested between towering cliffs, protected by natural stone walls and watchful eyes. Elders gathered as the woman was helped down and examined. Jack stood quietly, respectful and patient. She spoke again, this time with stronger emotion, describing how Jack freed her, gave water, and stayed through the cold night. The eldest man stepped closer to Jack, studying his face as if reading his heart. Slowly, he nodded. A ripple of relief moved through the crowd. Instead of anger or punishment, Jack was offered water and a place beside the fire. Over the next several days, Jack remained with the tribe as the woman recovered. They cleaned his own small wounds and shared meals of roasted meat and warm bread. Children watched him with curious smiles, while warriors observed with cautious respect. The elder presented Jack with a silver necklace carved with tribal symbols, a sign of protection and gratitude. Though words were few, meaning was deep. Jack learned simple gestures and customs, discovering a sense of belonging he never expected. The desert no longer felt empty, it felt alive with connection and shared respect. When it was time for Jack to leave, the woman stood before him, walking stronger now. She placed her hand over her heart and then gently touched his arm, gratitude shining in her eyes. The tribe watched as Jack mounted his horse, feeling a weight of emotion he hadn't prepared for. He realized this rescue had changed more than just one life. It had changed his purpose, his understanding of courage, and his place in the world. As he rode away under the wide blue sky, Jack carried not only supplies, but a renewed spirit and a bond that would guide his future forever.